received some comments from people who just don't understand why some people chooses to be child-free. So let's dive into the multiple reasons why people might choose to be child-free. So reason number 1, simply because we don't want them. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Everyone is free to choose whether or not they want to have children. And that's a fantastic choice that we have. It's up to each and every one of us, and either one is fine. But I mean, that's the number 1 reason that I want to bring up, at least. Just because we don't want them. Reason number 2, education. Let's just clear this one out, because multiple studies have shown that there is a negative correlation between birth rate and education. So the higher education you have, the lower birth rate. And this is known worldwide. And the reasons for these correlations could be anything from perhaps that we start studying a higher education within our fertility window. So when we're actually done with our education, we don't have as much time to actually bear a child. That could be one reason. But the other reason, well, it could be just that we have gotten more freedom and knowledge due to the education, and we just choose not to have kids due to that fact. Reason number 3, economy. Let's just be honest here. The costs today are brutal. I have a very good salary due to my education and my work, and I can barely make my ends meet. It is challenging with all the increased costs due to inflation, such as food, fuel, mortgage. Well, everything has become much more expensive. And the salaries don't match that increase in costs. So simply, many people just can't afford to have a child, to be able to provide for that child and give it a good life due to the harsh economics that we have today. Reason number 4, the society we live in today. It's not really a secret that our world that we live in today is quite nasty. With the war in Ukraine, criminal gangs that overpowers our police force, drug dealers, drug usage, etc. in young ages. Even so young ages that we still see them as kids, to be honest. It's in the schools. In Sweden at least, criminals recruit teenagers below 15 years of age just because they can't face penalty, as the adults can. We also have shootings, robberies, abuse, you name it. I personally was beaten down by 3 young teenagers just because I told them to stop abusing a handicapped man. And that man was in a wheelchair. It happened in our local mall in the bright daylight, and no one did a thing. And these teenagers were found by the police, but no charges was made because we didn't have any witnesses, or we didn't have anyone who wanted to speak up. And this is not a world that I personally want to bring a child into, because I would worry sick every single day. Reason number 5, natural resources. Studies have shown that we have crossed our planetary boundaries long time ago. Our planet is basically overpopulated already as is. And we humans are the biggest impact on climate change. And yes, climate changes are natural and they have natural cycles, but we can't deny that we are the biggest imprint on it. We are accelerating that change, and not in a good way. Also, there are plenty of children who needs a home, who doesn't have a roof over their head, who doesn't have food in their bellies. Why not just help them first? And reason number 6, not enough support. It is said that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, that concept barely exists today. We are now in that situation where we celebrate the core family, kids, parents and grandparents. And that's it. And many of us don't even live close to our parents, so we can't have that help from the grandparents either. And we cannot therefore get enough support. This puts tremendous amount of pressure on the parents who needs to keep a career, who needs to raise children to be good citizens, who needs to pay all the bills, be able to live in the more expensive world that we have today, less recovery time because we don't have the support, less time to nurture our own hobbies, less time to nurture our partners. So yeah, this is a big factor, because the way the society is today is not really encouraging people to have kids. With that said, I hope I clarified some of the reasons why people don't want to have kids, and honestly, we shouldn't even have to argue why we don't want kids. It just is, and people need to accept that just as much as we need to accept that people want to have kids. Why just not enjoy the time we have here instead of arguing whether or not we should have children? It's up to each and every one of us. But at least, well, these are some few reasons that might make you understand why we choose as we do. So, until next time, take care.